a championship fight. It's a sequel to a competitive and debatable first encounter. It's Peter Toney 2.
Well, as he has matriculated through the boxing weight classes over an 18-year career, James Toney has been in 9 matches that ended in split decisions or majority decisions. There have been wins, losses, and draws, and always there was Monday morning quarterbacking of the judges' scorecards. And so it was exactly the same with his last split decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, rounds of action we have. Here the score total.
To put it mildly, the disparity in scores for the James Toney-Samuel Peter fight was met with some surprise.
Peter.
One judge had it 115 to 112 for Toney, while the other two had it 116-111 for Peter.
I knew I won the fight, and everybody around the ring and around the world saw the fight. They saw the injustice that happened.
And I know in my heart, the way I fought, I know I won the fight.
For those who believe Toney won the fight, here's what influenced them. They saw him land the greater volume of punches and constantly score with his jab.
Look at his face. You see his head always constantly getting snapped back. I had the back of his head touching his ass.
They saw him counterpunch effectively and frustrate Peter with his still impressive defensive skills.
Everything you do is weak. Everything. When you go left hook, right hand, that's it. Even Stevie Wonder can see that coming.
Toney, in the minds of many, controlled the majority of most rounds. However, Peter time and time again rallied in the waning moments.
But now it's Peter jumping all over Toney at the bell.
Peter also had a point taken away in the 9th round. Oh, wow, what was that?
That's illegal, that's what that is.
That deduction further solidifies Toney's claim of victory.
Everybody seen that just what happened in that fight. After this fight, we won't hear no more about Sammy Peters, except back in Africa picking corn.
So what influenced the two judges and those who scored the fight for Samuel Peter? The power and showiness of his punches clearly resonated with Peter's advocates. They saw him hurt Toney, especially here in the 5th round.
I saw his eye, I saw his leg wobbling, started to back up, you know.
Often when they traded punches, as they do here, Toney's left hook lands perfectly, but Peter's punch is more dramatic, pushing Toney backwards. This exchange leads to another round-ending rally for Peter.
Yeah, that got Toney's attention here at the end of the round.
Peter used these climactic flurries throughout the fight, and this may have contributed to the two 116-111 scores for him. In boxing, controversy about scoring is as prevalent as opening bells and adamant fans.
That's who he was, the Nigerian fairy tale!
And while we can argue forever over who won this match, one solution, let's do it again.
He's wrong right now. He's damaged good. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna show y'all.
Yeah, this time around, I'm gonna beat him hands down. I won't leave no stone unturned. I'm gonna beat Toney hands down. He's gonna quit.
Well, for Sam Peter, the controversy over his win and the mandated rematch motivated him to take his training to a higher level, and that's evidenced by his more chiseled appearance and the 8 pounds that he has shed since the last fight. Now, Peter and his people believe that this, along with the improved skills he showed in the first Toney fight, will be enough for a victory tonight.
Let's welcome the world's famous.
All right, you, of course, were not in the minority in the first fight. You thought that Toney won.
Yeah, you know, obviously I was not alone. I scored a couple points for James Toney. The 3 journalists who were in our press row scoring, they scored it for James Toney. A vast majority of the other boxing writers on hand also scored it for Toney, and of course, one of the judges. I think the problem is that the margin of scores by the 2 judges who scored it for Sam Peter, 116-111, is what created some of the furor. In those scores, there were only 3 rounds given to James Toney, and Steve, that just didn't jibe with reality to a lot of people.
Will that decision have any influence, do you think, on how the judges will see tonight's fight?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. Obviously, those judges don't exist in a vacuum. They saw all the furor, and there's still a PR campaign that has gone on from the Toney camp to paint Toney Toney as a victim. There's kind of a history of this. You know, when Evander Holyfield had that draw with Lennox Lewis, Lewis was thought of as a victim. In their rematch, Lewis did win the fight, but I thought many more rounds went to Lewis than should have because there was kind of a backlash. There could be the same kind of backlash against Samuel Peter, and that's why strategically Peter has one new mission in this fight.
And that mission is to increase his punch output, which will score points, win rounds, and make the 38-year-old Toney work harder. If Toney throws a left hook, Peter must counter it as he did in the first fight. Peter's is just more powerful. No one lands right hands against Toney, but Peter did it in their first fight. Since he's unlocked the mystery of landing it, keep doing it. For James Toney, the jab isn't essential. He used it less as the first fight went on. It hurt him. And only throw left hooks off the ropes. In the center of the ring, Peter has room to counter that punch. And when Peter does throw his right hand and overextends it, Toney can counter that punch and do it effectively.
So, how will Al's keys impact your way of thinking in terms of tonight's fan participation? As we invite you to text message your predictions on our main event to us here at Showtime using your cell phone. Text your vote according to the options listed on your screen to SHOTV. That's 74688. Standard text messaging rates apply. In 18-plus years as a pro fighter, the old master, future Hall of Famer James Toney has never been more motivated, never worked as hard for a fight than this one. Under the watchful eye of renowned Taibo fitness guru Billy Blanks, he dramatically changed his diet, had lima beans coming out of his ears, did thousands of sit-ups, hundreds of rounds of sparring, miles of road work, and as he put it, lots of throwing up. I hope he at least gets a free Taibo video out of it. While he went up a pound from the last fight to 234, he appears more fit and toned. And Al, even though he looks better, are you concerned, especially after such a rigorous camp? He came in heavier than the first fight.
Well, I believe he did train hard, and I believe he's in better shape than the first fight. I would still like to see him 10 or 15 pounds less, mostly for the speed it would help him bring to this ring. But it's true that they did a lot of weight training, and certainly muscle weighs more than fat, and it's not how you look, as James Toney tells you, it's how you perform.
You know, he's a guy who likes to kid around and be playful, but as soon as the subject of Sam Peter comes up, he is all business, very serious. He is still upset, saying they stole that one, and now he will teach Peter a lesson. Real big fight atmosphere here tonight. As mentioned earlier, it is not a championship fight, but certainly carries the aura of one. A lot of celebrities and luminaries in the crowd. And from the small town of Akwabam, Nigeria, where he started out boxing bare-fisted and barefoot on dirt and rock, massively built Sam Peter, a devout Christian who doesn't drink or smoke. Peter, a slight favorite, still bitter that he has to do this again with Toney. This time he says it will not land in the judge's hands. He'll leave absolutely no doubt, but no easy feat, knowing Toney has never been stopped. How pivotal is it, Al, that Peter vigorously stepped up his training for this fight?
You know, much has been made of James Toney's conditioning, but Peter has had his issues with training and preparation for fights. And I think his commitment to this match has probably been his best ever. And let me say this, he needed that.
This could come down to the area of conditioning and who has the energy to throw more punches. And one last point before the fight about the judges. Peter said he's not worried about a possible backlash because Toney simply won't be able to take his punches or be able to finish the fight. To say Sam Peter is supremely confident is an understatement. As we size them up, let's go to the tail of the tape. And the numbers favor Peter. He's 12 years younger than Toney. Peter listed at 26, but there are rumors he's older. The 2.5-inch edge in height for Sam and a 5-inch reach advantage. And at the weigh-in 2 days ago, Peter outweighed Toney by 15 pounds, 249 to 234. A reminder, Peter dropping 8 pounds. Toney won more than in the first fight. And the key unified rules: no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecards. If a punch causes a cut and the injured fighter can't continue, he loses by TKO. So here at Hard Rock Live in Hollywood, Florida, we are getting ready for our main event. Peter versus Toney 2, a WBC heavyweight elimination bout. Let's get the official introductions from our ring announcer, the classy Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we commence with our main event of the evening, at this time, we'd like to ask you to rise for the playing of our national anthem. And to lead us, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the music behind the Godfather of Soul, the James Brown Band, the Soul Generals. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, as Chairman Mitchell Cypress and the Seminole Tribal Council present the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Duva Boxing, Goose and Tuna Promotions, and Don King Productions in association with Showtime. This bout coming your way is sanctioned by the WBC, President Jose Suleiman, Supervisors Juan Sanchez and Joe Dwyer, along with the Florida State Boxing Commission, the Chairman Eduardo La Casa, Vice Chairman Don Bowen, Commissioners Barbara Auger, Ramiro Ortiz, and Dr. Donald Perry, with the Executive Director Tom Malloy. Our physicians at ringside, Dr. Alan Fields and Dr. Robert Boltuck, timekeeper at the bell, Carmine Chiricella, and now introducing our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Northlands, England, John Keane. From Coral Springs, Florida, Peter Trematerra. And from Brussels, Belgium, Daniel Vanderveel. And our third man to the ring, the referee in charge of this bout from Miramar, Florida, Jorge Alonso. All right, fans, here we go with our main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing in a rematch and a WBC WBC title eliminator. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from the Hard Rock Live in Hollywood, Florida, it's showtime! Introducing to you first on my right, he is fighting out of the blue corner, wearing green trunks with white trim and hailing from Sherman Oaks, California. He weighed in at 234 pounds with a record of 69 wins, 5 losses, 3 draws, and 1 no decision. He has 43 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former middleweight world champion, the former super middleweight world champion, and the former cruiserweight champion of the world, currently ranked the number 2 heavyweight by the WBC, introducing the one and only James Toney. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trunks, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Akwa Ibom, Nigeria. He weighed in at 249 pounds. His fine record stands at 27 wins, only 1 defeat, with 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Recognized in the top 5 by all sanctioning bodies, he is currently ranked the #1 heavyweight contender by the WBC. He is known as the Nigerian Nightmare. Introducing Samuel Peter. Once again, a referee in charge, Jorge Alonso.
Peter, Tony, we spoke to you in the dressing room earlier today. Let me remind you, do not hit your opponents in the back of the head. Do not hit your opponents in the back, okay? This is good here. This is good here. I want you to protect yourself at all times and obey my instructions and follow my commands at all times. Any questions from this side? Any questions from this side? Touch him up. No, we're going to touch him up, and then we're going to come out. All right.
And let's take a look at the text message results. We draw your eyes to the most popular result, Toney by decision, 35%. That's what the fans who called in think of the outcome.
Amazing that 31% said Toney by KO.
Yeah.
That surprises me.
That perhaps the least expected scenario. Peter, of course, known for his power and pressure. And those words from Jorge Alonso were a message to the Nigerian Nightmare about clubbing to the back of the head. There's no question about that. Something he has been guilty of. Here we go.
And James Toney, the way he turns his head and turns his body, sometimes kind of invites that. And that happened in the last fight.
Sam Peter in the white, James Toney in the green. In the first fight, Peter able to do something not often seen against Toney. Toney got hit by a lot of right hands. And that of particular concern to Toney's trainer, Freddie Roach, because of the fact Peter doesn't exactly have blazing speed with his hands. Toney, of course, a defensive master, precision counterpuncher, was hurt for the first time in his illustrious career by Peter.
Hey, early in this fight already, there's a message. Sam Peter's thrown more punches in the first 40 seconds of this fight than I would expect in the first round. He is going after Toney, and whether he can sustain it, that's another question. But boy, he's throwing a lot of good jabs and a lot of punches.
I was just about to say, if Peter keeps throwing and stays busy, it could be a huge factor in this fight tonight. Long right hand that's scored by Peter.
The Toney jab has not been there yet. Very awkward beginning for James Toney. It really is.
Yeah, this time, will he be able to make Peter miss with the right and come back with the right of his own? A signature for Toney. And Toney in that first fight was just too squared up. And there's one thing about Toney, there's no question about his head movement. It's the legs.
There's that right hand, and that stunned James Toney.
James Toney early is rocked. Bounces off the ropes.
That was a warning for hitting on the back of the head. So Jorge Alonso saying those punches landed on the back of the head.
Right hand by Toney, hammering away, perhaps sensing the urgency here in the first round.
He knows he's got to get Sam Peter's attention earlier. He's going to get whacked.
And then the jab getting in there by Sam Peter. What a start for Peter, missing with that right hand. Missing again with the right hand, a grazing blow.
That's the signature move Toney had in the first fight. When, again, he did it. When Peter misses with the right hand, he counters with the right.
Peter is trying to end this on one punch. It is quite obvious. But a lot of his punches are wide looping, and it gives Toney a chance to get out of the way. But one of them got in, and it stunned Toney. Now Peter going back to the jab. Toney trying to get his footing. Again, Peter missing with the long right hand.
Watch the low blows. Watch the low blows. Come on now, get out of there.
So Sam Peter getting off to a much busier start than you would imagine.
How you feel, baby?
All right.
Is that bucket, Jimmy? Give me that bucket. Yeah.
Right, man. Relax and do what you do.
Well, James Toney got hurt in round one. It was an overhand right that landed. That hurt him. Then, as Peter came in, and from that punch, you see how those right hands are landing on the top of the head of Toney. Toney complaining to Jorge Alonso, which will lead to a warning by Alonso to Sam Peter. Now, some of those rights, fine, but there's one on the side of the head, and there's one on the back of the head, and that's, I think, what Alonso noticed, and that's what provoked the warning by Jorge Alonso.
It's funny, the referee in the first fight, Raul Caiz Sr., was telling James Toney, don't put your head into Sam Peter's punches. That's part of the problem. But in this case, oh, there goes Toney. Down for the first time since 1994 against Roy Jones.
By a jab.
How you doing, James?
12 seconds into the round, a jab putting James Toney on the canvas. He was rocked in the first, and now he's down to the second.
And when you don't have leg movement, as Toney doesn't really, this becomes an issue now, because you got a big, powerful man banging on you.
Can Sam Peter live up to his word of knocking out James Toney? He's off to a fantastic start. And Toney has a long way to go here. 2 minutes in round two, and Peter's landing with those heavy rights, missing with the left hook. Whizzing by Toney.
Toney wants to lure him against the ropes there, but he didn't get too much done, did James Toney.
No posting, no posting. Come on, let him go, Toney, let him go, Toney.
As Toney gets older, he gets more hittable, and that is quite evident here.
And Sam Peter has straightened out his punches a lot. He started doing it in the last fight, and he's doing it here.
Will youth be served here tonight? Good left hand there by Toney. He stuck that one into the head.
So far, the jab of Toney there is a good one. Hasn't been as active as it was early in the first fight.
Now, Toney, remember, usually very good off the ropes.
He likes this. Let's see if he can get the job done.
There's a right hand to the top of Toney's head. Another clubbing right hand near the back, getting a warning from Jorge Alonso.
Peter's keeping his distance here, and that's why Toney can't get to him. Brilliant fighting by Sam Peter. He's not getting close enough where Toney can counter him.
There's a left jab. There's a jab by Toney. And he gets off the ropes now. Toney with the jab again.
The big headline of this fight to me is the Sam Peter jab, which he used fairly effectively in the last fight, but it is much better in this fight.
Again, even punches that aren't flush by Sam Peter can be very effective. Left hand by Toney. Another left hand by Toney. Crowd a little more behind Toney, even though Peter has fought here in Florida several times. Another left hand by Toney, and Toney says, all right, come on. Oh, and a big right hand to the head at the bell by Peter, and Toney with some bravado.
Sam Peter's jab, is it good? Yeah, I guess so. Scored a knockdown in the last round, sending Toney off balance. Now, Toney's footwork has not been stellar in this fight, and that's part of the reason why he was knocked down by that jab. There, it wasn't even the best jab that Peter has thrown, but it caught Toney squaring up and going backwards. And by the way, Toney told us he doesn't want to square up in this fight as much as he did the last fight, and he did here, and that's why he got knocked down with the jab. Look, he's totally squared up to Sam Peter and had no balance and just went straight backwards.
So we begin round 3, scheduled for 12. An excellent start for Peter, but Toney coming on in the last round. Landing with some nice jabs.
At least verbally he came on, that's for sure.
Oh, big right hand by James Toney over the top. But did Peter even flinch?
The problem with this fight is, and that is an indication of it, James Toney, I don't believe, is going to be able to hurt Sam Peter. Maybe he can as the fight wears on. The problem is if it's a slugfest. Oh, wow.
What a right hand by Toney. That's finding a home on the head of Peter, but Peter's like a rock.
Great punch, but Sam Peter went nowhere.
Body shot by Peter. Again, Toney fighting off the ropes where he likes to be, but it could be dangerous against this guy. Toney with a wild swing and a miss.
Don't grab that. Don't grab that head.
Toney's made some inroads with those right hands, though. There's no question about it, and has slightly changed the tenor of this round.
Yeah, Peter a little more cautious now.
Now, round 6 of the first fight, Toney believes he had Peter hurt and feels he missed an opportunity there.
Toney is just swinging for the fences here.
Toney's having a much better round. The jab is getting in from time to time.
Well, it's less risky for Peter to fight Toney's fight than for Toney to fight Peter's fight.
Yeah, you're right.
Very dangerous strategy here by James Toney, but danger is his middle name.
Boy, and he is just tough as nails. He's in there against a guy 100 pounds bigger than people he started fighting with when he became a professional, and he is trading punches and landing big right hands.
And he's loving this, you know it. Another right hand over the top by Toney.
See, this is where Sam Peter gets a little tentative, doesn't throw punches, and potentially allows a round to slip away. Although Toney's not that busy himself right now, but he was busier earlier.
And once again, you have to wonder about the conditioning factor for each. Body shot there to the side by Peter. Toney missing with the right hand. Peter comes back with a short right.
You know, Sam Peter doesn't have much of an uppercut normally. They've added that for this fight. Every time we see him fight now, starting with that last fight, he adds more to his arsenal.
New co-trainer Stacy McKinley, they say, has made a difference. Final seconds of round 3.
Close round in which Peter has come back a bit.
Came up short on that one, Peter. You got it. Boy, how do you score that one?
You're looking good, okay? You just stop fighting and started talking. Okay, listen, you're on your flat feet. Get up off your flat feet so you can get on the balls of your feet. Then you'll be a little more quicker. Because you're feeling a little tired, you're going back on your flat feet.
Well, James Toney landed some superb right hands. Tough to move, Sam Peter. Toney, of course, coming up in weight, up in weight, so he's not a monstrous puncher as a heavyweight, but that's a perfect right hand. And look at Peter getting ready to try and counter him, but there were a number of right hands that landed for Toney in a round that he may very well have have won. Now, there was a good right hand by Toney, and there's that little uppercut by Sam Peter when Toney leaves his head exposed. This is turning into a fascinating match.
Well, they said in the first fight, judges were influenced by punching power over punch volume, but who would have thought it would have been Toney's punching power here in the rematch? He landed some big right hands on Peter. I think I would have given that last round to Toney.
Yeah, by a small margin. I gave it to Toney. So that's one of those rounds that are close, and we'll see how they go.
Left-right combination upstairs by Toney, showing some hand speed there. Another jab that got in by James Toney, then pushed back by a jab by Peter. Good left-right combination upstairs again by the busier James Toney all of a sudden.
Don't post it with
Now Peter is following him against the ropes. Let's see if Toney can make something happen here. He wants him there.
Normally fighters not successful off the ropes. Toney the exception.
How busy can Toney be on the inside? Let's be honest. He still is carrying some weight. So is he in a position to keep punching throughout all these rounds? Well, something's in James Toney's eye, I think. Rubbing his eye.
He's trying to wave something. Toney stiff-arming Peter, and then a clubbing right hand by Peter to the top of Toney's head.
And then we saw Toney come back with his own right after that. So this is a round in which Peter's off to a fairly good start, even though Toney has landed some good counter punches.
Toney does look better, but still has the spare tire. It's obvious. Peter looks the better of the two.
One of the issues was, would Peter be able to defend against the Toney jab? Well, he's not getting hit with as many jabs by Toney in this fight.
And there's a left-right combination. Another shot by Toney that got through. And the double jab by Sam Peter, trying to set up that big right. Right uppercut missing by what looks to be now a bit of a frustrated Peter.
He's a little less precise with his punches than he was in the first couple of rounds.
Toney just pulled back with that right hand at the last second.
No holding, let him go.
Under a minute remaining in round 4. It's a pretty good two-way action.
And another round in which I believe maybe Sam Peter has been lethargic enough to let this round slip through his hands. Again, a fairly close round. We'll see what happens in the remaining seconds. Not as if Toney's been super active, but he's been a little bit more active than Sam Peter.
We saw Peter run out of some gas in the middle of the first fight and then had a second win.
And remember in the last fight in which the last 30 or 40 seconds were dominated by Peter? Well, here he goes again.
Yep.
He stole a lot of rounds that way.
Peter coming on and being waved in by Toney, Al. There's a good double left jab by James Toney. Toney fighting off the ropes, but Peter's getting the better of it. Back comes Toney with a left hook. Oh, great action.
How you feel, fine?
All right, you feel? That's what we're talking about. How you feel? Good. Paint the picture, man. Paint the picture. You good?
Perfect, baby.
Watch the back of the head, rep.
All right, James. Combination working well here.
Well, as if it isn't rough enough in that ring, here we'll see a clash of heads. Toney actually initiating a little bit more, although I don't know if it was intentional, but his head banged against Sam Peter. He ended around a fantastic exchange. And Peter trying to do what he did so often in the last round. There's the jabs by Toney, trying to win the last 30 seconds of a round, to steal it, if you will. And he was very aggressive. Now, both men landed good punches at the end. The question is, who did they think got the better of these exchanges? A very close round.
And now round 5 scheduled for 12. Sam Peter in the white. James Toney in the green. Right hand there. That's scored by Peter. Oh! After a shot by Toney, a big right hand by Peter. Another right hand by Peter. And now Toney trying to hold him. Says something.
You know, James Toney is working the body more now in these last couple rounds. We'll see if that pays him any dividends.
There he goes again to the body. James Toney.
Don't hold him.
Trying to make Peter think and work, trying to frustrate him, tire him out for the later rounds, perhaps.
You know, the first 2 rounds looked like Sam Peter was going to walk through Toney, and it hasn't been quite so. Beautiful uppercut by Peter, though.
Toney, as he's walking away, scores with a right. A right upstairs. So crafty, so ring savvy, trying every trick in the book.
And he's got Sam Peter thinking a little bit more, but that's a beautiful right by Peter.
It landed squarely on the head. There's another right hand to the head of Toney. Toney trying to cover up on the ropes. This time not effective off the ropes. It's all Peter. Firing away. Toney trying to roll with the punches. So the impact isn't as big.
Step back, step back, step back.
Part of the problem, when he was fighting middleweights and light heavyweights, he could roll that way, and those big bombs didn't hurt him so much. The big man hits you, it hurts. And there, we look at the press row scoring, all for Peter.
Biggest margin, Dan Raphael of ESPN.com.
I've got it 39-37 for Peter.
Dan had Peter winning the first fight. And it was a highly debatable fight. Left-right combination there by Peter. Toney's left eye looks to be damaged.
Sam Peter landing some big clubbing punches in this round.
Oh, there's a big left hook to the head by Sam Peter, and that got Toney's attention. Yeah, Toney's left eye beginning to close.
Swell, very swollen now.
Just got a good look at it, not looking good.
You know, Sam Peter doesn't have to worry about getting hurt right now. That's why he can walk right in.
How you feel? Good, man. Water. Okay. There you go. Let me spit it out.
At the beginning of the last round, these two men went at it. Toney came out, he did a no-no trying to land a left hook in the middle of the ring. A mistake by him. He's always countered when he does that, and those little short right hands getting there. Although Toney did some good work himself. Toney leaps out with the hook, gets clubbed with the right hand. That one was kind of on the back of the head, but of course James Toney turned that way. And that set the tone for the round. Peter really landing some powerful punches during the course of round number 5.
Let's go.
It is round 6 scheduled for 12 in a WBC heavyweight elimination fight. The winner to get a shot at the WBC title, currently owned by Oleg Moskiev. They fight from close range, and it's hard body shots by Peter.
Great work. Toney's trying to claim one was low, and maybe a little, but I'll tell you what, those were excellent body shots by Sam Peter. Peter said he would have a better volume of punches in this fight, and for the most part, that has been true.
Peter is showing that he is in good shape. Toney bouncing around, flicking the jab, but that's not going to do much against Sam Peter. Even his biggest right hand didn't make Peter flinch.
Now the Toney jab starting to kind of reassert itself a little bit in this round.
Come on, guys, work out of there, work out of there.
Peter has never been down, pro or amateur. Toney down for the 3rd time in his career, back in round 2, off a jab.
I think the right hand stunned James Toney there for a moment.
Peter pressing the attack, and then backs off.
And what I like that Sam Peter is doing when Toney gets against the ropes, he's fighting tall. And against the smaller Toney, that's what to do. Then Toney can't counter you. Use the jab as Peter is doing now and creating space. face, and then Toney can't punch off those ropes. It's a very smart strategy.
Peter just missing with a right and a left. And a right hand at the end of that sequence by Peter.
That's this fight in microcosm. A big punch by Toney, it meant nothing, and Peter went after him. Wow.
Peter countering the counterpuncher, and very effectively.
If James Toney was fighting a cruiserweight right now, he would have won by knockout. But he's not. Those big punches are not getting Peter hurt.
And now James Toney's lip beginning to bleed. So he's got problems with the left eye and the lip.
Peter has only been truly hurt one time in his career when Vladimir Klitschko hit him with that monstrous left hook, and he did not go down. And Klitschko, of course, a very big puncher.
Peter putting Klitschko down 3 times, although he ran out of gas and lost the fight to Vladimir.
Come on, get out of there.
Peter able to unleash a shot just after the clinch.
Sam Peter always throws more punches at the end of the round.
Toney has something to say to Sam. Toney thinking it was a late shot. Wild card Saturday in the afternoon game. Indianapolis beating Kansas City 23-8. The Colts dominating defense, forcing 3 turnovers, and held the Chiefs to just 126 yards. And Seattle gets by Dallas in the NFC game 21-20, both finals. Late rally by the Seahawks.
James Toney working to the body and to the head. Works upstairs, then downstairs. That's the double leg hook from James Toney. That's a terrific punch, but guess what? He gets nailed with a right hand right afterwards by Sam Peter. That punch just didn't hurt Peter.
Toney's MO, I'm sure, going in partly was to try and frustrate and discourage Sam Peter, but it seems to be now the other way around, because Toney is throwing everything with such power behind it, and it doesn't seem to be having much effect on the massive Sam Peter.
This is, to me, is a fascinating fight, because we're seeing elements of the first fight, and yet there are clearly differences here. Sam Peter just can't be hurt by Toney, and that is the big story at this juncture, and he's busier, and those 2 factors are enough to give him the edge in this fight.
Well, one of the improvements of Sam Peter in that first fight was his technical skills, his counter-punching, his jab. As you look at press row, continues to be all Peter. Again, the biggest disparity, Dan Raphael. And he is picking up where he left off. There's a good left hook that sent Toney back. But Peter's jab doing a nice job throughout here. And of course the big overhand right as well.
Let's go start that holding now.
And counter-punching Toney nicely too. So right now, while there was a lot of doubt in that first fight, there doesn't seem to be much doubt at all as to who is ahead here.
There is Toney. You know, Toney can't resist throwing the hook because it can't land against Peter, but more often than not, when he throws that punch anywhere but off the ropes, it gets him in trouble. Peter counters with the right hand or with his own hook. It's a real conundrum for James Toney. The only thing that could make this work for him is if he was busy enough to win these rounds, but honestly, James Toney hasn't been able to be busy for 12 full rounds for a long time in the heavyweight division, since he fought Evander Holyfield.
Get out of there.
And that's an issue for him. He's not going to win by knockout as a heavyweight. He has to throw punches. And a lot of them. In the first fight, it felt to many of us that he threw enough.
And
not
many
so
of
much
these
this time.
punches seem to be getting to James Toney in terms of his stamina. He looks a little tired and worn out, fatigued. And a big right cross to the head by Peter. And Toney just stands there.
The Toney jab, while it has reemerged, I don't know if it's been enough to win these rounds for him.
Once again, the more powerful, heavier punches being offered up by Peter. But he's doing more. It's not only that. He's also scoring with the jab. He's doing it with technique as well. Well, celebrity Taibo instructor Billy Blanks working the corner along with Freddie Roach for James Toney, brought in to improve, among other things, Toney's diet, keeping him to about 1,500 calories per day. Toney did not actually do Taibo. Blanks almost got into it with Peter's co-trainer Stacy McKinley at the press conference the other day. McKinley unleashed some insults to Blanks. I wouldn't mess with either one of them.
You're working on the inside. All right, when you relax on the inside, you gotta fire that combination, okay? All right, son? You gotta fire that combination, okay? Don't relax in there. Fire the body and finish with the hook to the head, okay? Bang, bang, bang. Finish this son of a bitch, okay? And here, we're behind the points here. You're gonna pick it up a little bit, okay, son? All right?
Come on, man. Oh, let him back in this round, all right? Drop him on the ropes. That's good. Thank you. That's good. All right, give me a towel. And when you get him on the ropes, turn left hand.
Championship big-time atmosphere here at Hard Rock Live in Hollywood, Florida. Steve Albert along with Al Bernstein, Jim Gray, Karen Bryant, our Showtime crew. Happy to have you with us for the rematch between Sam Peter in the white, James Toney in the green. It is round 8, scheduled for 12 in this WBC heavyweight title eliminator. And Sam Peter continues to control the action. There's a left and a heavy right.
Big left hook hurt Toney momentarily, and then the right hand came along. You know, to show you how far Sam Peter has come, they told him if you get Toney hurt on the ropes, turn lefty, which you did earlier. That's a nuance that, trust me, Sam Peter wasn't going to be able to handle a year or 2 years ago.
Come on, break. My break, let's go.
With all the big punches that Sam Peter has landed, the irony is that the only thing that put James Toney down was a jab that caught him off balance.
Don't get tied up. Don't get tied up.
That is ironic, yes.
Don't tie up. Don't tie up. Come on, guys.
You know, they sparred with Alicio Castillo, a Cuban fighter from this area who is a very clever and crafty defender, and I think that was a very good choice in sparring partners for Sam Peter. Both men becoming a little inactive here. Although there's the Peter jab.
And the double jab by Sam Peter. Peter, I'm sure, in his mind, knows he's got a lot of rounds in the bank. So
bring him up, James. Bring him up.
Getting a breather, a second win.
Freddie Roach honest with James Toney, telling him we're behind on points.
I never saw Freddie so rah-rah entering that 12th round of the first fight when he kind of knew that Toney, it could have gone either way, and he said, you know what, take it out of the judge's hands, go knock Peter out. But of course Toney never did, and Peter won the split decision.
Now this is a round in which Peter got off to a very good start. Now he's been pretty lethargic, not throwing too many punches. Toney hasn't exactly been a ball of fire, but he may be edging back into this round. But will Peter, as he always does, come on strong in the last 30 or 40 seconds?
Toney has come to a grinding halt here, and this is where the conditioning, as we talked about so many times before the fight, could be factoring in.
Don't pull the head. Don't pull the head. Stop. I got it. Hey, hey. Don't pull the head, all right? Let's go.
Jorge Alonso cautioning Sam Peter not to pull Toney's head down.
This is one of the few rounds where Peter has been moving backwards at the end of the round, but there again he's aggressive.
And some pretty good hand speed there offered up by Sam Peter.
Always more punches from Peter in the last 30 seconds, every single time.
Sam Peter doing a good job there with the right hand, and generally doing a good job of shortening up his punches.
Spit that out. Spit it out. All right, James. You're letting him steal the round the last 10 seconds, son. All right? You can't do that. All right? The 10-second bell goes off. You gotta be not letting me get the combination off. You gotta get yours off. You hear me, son? All right? Here.
How you feel, man?
That's Fast lane, Jimmy. John.
It's good. Come on, let's move them legs, move them hands, man. That guy just stuck up a left hook, James. Just stuck up a left hook.
James, when he's relaxing on the inside, bang, bang, bang.
Sam Peter doing what Freddie Roach just said and what I suggested, probably going a long way, or Sam Peter going a long way towards stealing that round. And he was active at the end, the last 10 seconds. He's always active, Peter, in the last 30 seconds of these rounds against Toney.
He was getting instructions, James Toney, from both sides. Billy Blank saying he's a sucker for a left hook, meaning Sam Peter.
I don't think Billy Blanks is there to give technical advice and scoring. And by the way, with all due respect, that's not the punch James Toney's supposed to be throwing.
And then Freddie Roach said, get him on the inside.
Not that Billy Blanks hasn't done boxing, but he was there for conditioning.
So round 9, scheduled for 12. Sam Peter in command, wearing the white trunks, looking to make it 2 for 2 over James Toney.
Let him go, let him go, let him go now. Break! Step back, both of you. Step back, step back, step back. That's it.
Good combination on the inside by Toney. And of course, he needs much more of that. That's what he should have been doing, or if he could, throughout this fight when he's on the inside. Now look at him. He wants Peter to come to the ropes, and Peter said, I'm not going there.
Decisively in front is Sam Peter in the unofficial press row scoring. Santos Perez from the Miami Herald, Dan Rafael from ESPN.com has the widest margin, and Tim Smith from the New York Daily News.
I have it 79-73 for Samuel Peter.
Sam looking for reaffirmation here after winning the first fight in hotly disputed, debatable, controversial fashion. And tonight he wanted to make a point. Of course, he still wants to knock Toney out to really make a statement, but he is well ahead and well on his way to victory via points at this rate.
Had Toney hurt early in the fight several times, couldn't really press the advantage as much as he would like.
Had Toney down in the second round, only the third time Toney's been down in his 18-plus year career from a left jab, 12 seconds in a round 2.
Nice right hand by Toney. You know, going to the body opened up that right hand. The jab to the body by Toney freezes Peter momentarily and opens up that right hand.
Toney's left eye damaged, blood coming from the lip, inviting Peter in, but then gets away from the ropes. Now he's trying to suck Peter back towards the ropes, gets him with a left hook to the side of the head. Little smirk from James.
This is not a one-sided round. This is a pretty close round, one in which Toney's got a little bit more done. The question is, did he get enough done to win it?
A jab there that's scored by Toney. Peter missing wildly with the left. Again, this is where Toney likes it. The bell sounds. Star-studded audience here tonight. I guess you can call this guy a heavyweight.
Yeah, I'd say. He loves boxing. He really does.
Shaq from the defending champion Miami. He had some pretty good moves there.
This guy's right hand's right around his ass, okay? You can land that left hook whenever you want, all right? Now let's go out there and show him, okay? I want you to go out there and throw that shot as hard as you can, okay? All right? James, we need these rounds.
Let's go for it.
All right?
Okay. Making sure.
All right? Right here. You gotta go out there and go for it for me, okay? All right? Fire that left hook with all your might, okay? All right, son?
Baby, come on.
You will knock him out with that left hook, okay? His right hand's right around his ass. Look.
Couldn't be more graphic with James Toney spitting blood into the bucket.
Now that's interesting advice from Freddie Roach. We will see. I have to be honest. I think it's a very dangerous move for Toney, but maybe when you're in this position, you better try it. But when he's thrown those hooks in center ring, he's been countered in the last however many rounds, the last 21 rounds they've fought.
Now, meanwhile, in the Sam Peter corner, they were cheerleading Sam saying he's only got 9 more minutes. If he can just hold on and do what he's doing, he's got a shot at the title.
Now, it's true Tony's landing those hooks. The question is, are they hard enough to hurt Peter, and is that punch going to put him in danger? Nice jab.
That jab is really getting in there. A couple of them by Peter. And of course, that's the punch that put Tony down back in the second round. Tony, of course, will say it was a balance shot, but it was a good jab.
It's interesting, you know, both men using different gloves. Peter using the Reyes gloves, which we traditionally view as a puncher's glove, and Tony using Everlast.
Don't pull him in, man.
Yeah, it has something to do with the distribution of the padding. And boy, right now, James needs more than a pair of gloves.
See?
Yep.
He threw the left hook, but he got countered by Peter.
And here's Peter with a series of left hands, getting a rise from the crowd.
How about Peter feigning being hurt? You know he's confident when Sam Peter, who is not known for those kind of theatrics, will go for it.
Pulling to James Toney. He's learned from the master.
Yeah.
Well, he did say that even though there was a lot of controversy, there's a couple of shots that rocked Toney. That Toney made a bit. Hey, how about that move by Sam Peter?
Well, in the combination punching before, it's certainly something that his corner likes to see. You know, if Sam Peter truly is as hard to hurt, now granted Tony's not a big punching heavyweight, but as we pointed out, even Klitschko landed monstrous right hands and only hurt him once with a left hook. If you can't hurt Sam Peter, if he's that kind of heavyweight, if he's the David Tua kind of heavyweight that can't be hurt, and he's getting his skill level built up, he's going to be a very tough man to deal with in the heavyweight division.
Well, right now, Sam Peter is showing the boxing world that he is better for the heavyweight division than James Toney is, unless Toney can pull something out miraculously here in the final few rounds. Of course, Peter is much younger, and he's got something that fans love to see from the big men, knockout power. But it's tough to knock out an elusive guy, a guy who is such a defensive master, like James Toney. But he has dominated the fight, Sam Peter. Well, a tough night for James Toney's wife, Angie, right here, lending her support. But you got to wonder what's going through her mind right now.
All right, James. So you really suck it up here, son. All right? Now, James.
Sam Peter throwing combinations, which he's not known for. Now, that right hand, of course, was the best of those punches. And Pops Anderson made the point, the reason he's been able to land right hands against Toney is that he's consistent with that punch. And there's a move Sam Peter, I trust, has never made in his professional career. And the other thing that's made those right hands land is that Toney has squared himself up to Peter.
So here we go into double-digit 11 championship round.
Let him go.
One knockdown of the fight. Round two, Toney from a jab early in the round. All Peter has to do is hang on for just a few more minutes.
For James Toney, the issue really is simple. He has been able to get some things done tonight, as he always does, and his toughness is extraordinary to be standing in against a big punching heavyweight like this. But it's the same thing that's dogged him in the fight against Rahman, the last fight, as we look at the scoring that is very dominant for Samuel Peter. James Toney can't sustain the action over enough rounds to win a decision, although, again, in the last Peter fight, many of us thought he did, but in this fight, he isn't.
Peter coming on again, and Peter showing his conditioning, his hard training paying off. looking to finish strong, bouncing around, throwing more punches than people are used to seeing him throw. Much busier than in the past. And just a very good overall effort here by Sam Peter, all around.
The other point that will hearten his trainers, Pops Anderson and Stacy McKinley and Ivan Gatsev, his manager, is the fact that he's accurate. He's been accurate with punches. And that accuracy will serve him well, obviously, in any fight. If, in fact, he gets Oleg Moskaev next, and I should think he would, that accuracy will help him a lot.
Well, coming in, Sam Peter was the slight favorite. But as far as the fans in the text messaging department, most thought that Toney would win this fight, 66% in fact.
Step back.
Only 7% had Peter winning by decision. And we thought after the first fight, what a least expected scenario with Peter winning by decision. The other least expected scenario would be Toney by knockout. And that's what he's going to need to win this fight. Oh, on the break. Let's see what Jorge does.
Don't do it again. It's going to cost you a point. You hear me? No more. Time in.
Good work by Jorge Alonso. No reason to take a point away at that juncture.
Oh, look at Toney. He doesn't want to touch gloves with Sam Peter. So Peter hitting after the break, and he jumps all over Toney.
Last round, touch gloves, okay? Because that's what he's been doing. He's trying to steal a fight away from you. This is the last.
Peter doing very well early in the round. Beautiful body punches, and that's a very nice combination from Sam Peter. That is something you would not have seen from him a year and a half or 2 years ago. This is where Peter hits on the break. His fighters are being broken by Jorge Alonso, and there's the uppercut by Sam Peter.
As we enter the 12th, will they touch gloves?
Touch him up.
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
Shannon Briggs, who's in attendance, needed a last-minute knockout to win his heavyweight title. James Toney will likely need the same miracle here. Here we go. It has not been as competitive a fight as we saw in the first fight. It has been more one-sided for the Nigerian Nightmare in the white, Samuel Peter.
There were bursts of great exchanges, but after a while, it settled in with Peter's really controlling things.
And right now, Sam Peter just seems comfortably ahead on points.
James Toney is 4-1 in rematches, but in danger of being 4-2. That was a good right hand by James Toney. One of his best punches. Did that have an impact on Sam Peter? We'll see.
Well, Peter, apparently not. He comes forward and jabs away. And a body shot by Peter. And a left hook followed by a right to the sides of Toney's head. One thing you've got to say about James Toney, he's a tough guy. He just stands in there, he takes the punishment.
I mean, this is a guy that's fighting 160-pounders, then 175-pounders and cruiserweight. He's in against a monster. He's in against a big guy, so you have to give him credit for that, certainly.
Taking some massive shots, and that includes the jab.
Beautiful double left hook by Peter. He's on the cusp of becoming a really complete fighter, Sam Peter. And there were many that weren't sure that could happen.
We started seeing traces of that in the first fight. And maybe it really is true that James Toney brings out the best in Samuel Peter, showing his promise.
A moment ago, after he landed that big combination, Toney retreated to the ropes. Peter just wouldn't follow. He said, why should I? Why should I walk in there and maybe get countered? Very smart fight by Peter.
Under a minute remaining.
Don't push the head down.
Sam Peter may be 40 seconds away from a shot at the heavyweight title against Oleg Moskiev. That's if Moskiev doesn't decide or get a fight with Vladimir Klitschko.
You certainly hate to see Peter, because while I thought that Tony won that first fight, I thought it was inappropriate by the WBC to order and mandate a rematch. You said if the guy won, he was going to get a title shot, and then you change your mind. Wrong. But it would be really a shame for Sam Peter to miss out on a title shot after this.
Well, he once said George Foreman just refused to do it in an ordered rematch. Well, a piece of crowd on its feet, and Sam Peter dancing around in triumph. And a different story. A study in disappointment there in the Tony Club.
You beat that way. You beat that. Make it complain now. Make it complain. Oh boy. Good, baby. Master. But that's your best fight, man. I love your best fight. Oh, son. You can't steal this one. I win. The referee said that. You win. I'm good, man. Very good. Hard work.
Jab while you're in the fight. The jab.
No controversy tonight.
We worked on them jab count. You got the jab count.
We wouldn't think anyway.
Well, that would really be shocking. Samuel Peter doing exactly what he told us he would do.
Excellent performance.
Talk to me about your performance.
Great. You see, he's great. I turned to Muhammad Ali the last round.
That was the Muhammad Ali.
I turned to Muhammad Ali. Nothing wrong with that. You because
Great.
Interesting to hear some of the comments.
Very good. Very good. I'm giving some Floyd Mayweather.
Well, there was one knockdown of this fight. James Toney going down for the first time in 13 years.
And the irony is that it would come from a jab. James Toney kind of squares himself up here. Look at how off balance he is. That was the one thing he told us he didn't want to do, is square himself up. He did it repeatedly in this fight, and that jab knocked him down. And the irony is that he was hit with so many other big punches, and that was the only one that sent him to the canvas. But it was indicative, certainly, of the night that James Toney was going to have. And it also indicative, I think, of the Peter jab, which was a really big story in this fight. The fact that he came out and established that jab early, and it's what he intended to do. He had a game plan. He stuck to it. He knew he had to get the jab going, which would open up the right hand. And that's exactly what he did. And, you know, there wasn't too much that Peter didn't do tonight. He threw good body punches. He countered the left hook with his own hook frequently, and even threw in uppercuts. I've not seen Sam Peter throw uppercuts before. Have you? Very seldom. And even that punch was part of his arsenal this evening. So kudos to him, and for James Toney, very tough loss.
Sam Peter on the precipice of reaffirmation. We've got the final numbers. Let's get it up to our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Peter Trematerra, scores about 119 to 108. Judges John Keane and Daniel Vanderveel both scored about 118 to 110. All three in favor of the winner of the WBC heavyweight title, Eliminator, the Nigerian Nightmare, Samuel Peter.
An overwhelming points victory, lopsided unanimous decision win for the Nigerian Nightmare, Sam Peter. James Toney, after going 16 straight unbeaten, not having tasted defeat almost 10 years, now loses 2 straight. Not the first time. His losses to Roy Jones and Montel Griffin were back to back. Let's get it up to Jim Gray in the ring. Jim.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Samuel, congratulations. Was this your best fight?
Excuse me, I thank Jesus. I am saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. I am saying thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Lord. I'm so happy, you know. I thank God for the victory.
Was this your best fight?
Yeah, this is my best fight, you know. I fight the best. You know, I win the fight. I so much thank God. I thank Don King because I wanted to go back to Vegas and train. He said, no, you got to be here, train. You spend for the camp for me. That's how I prove myself strong. I can still go on that round. If he's still ready, I'm ready to go again with him. Maybe around 12 rounds. Easy.
How much resolve did you have? Because quite obviously you were against this rematch, and how difficult was it for you to train, having known that you had gotten the decision before? You know, the first time I know I beat him because everybody that watched the TV, they listen to commentators, oh, Tony, if I hit him with the right hand, oh, Tony, you know. So I turned the video, I turned the studio down. Then at least I looked the fight. I won the first fight, you know. That when they called for the match, you know, I didn't happy. But because of the referee and the referee that gave me the fight, the two referees gave me the fight, that's why I really take this fight. I couldn't take the rematch, but I tried to prove that those two referees that gave me the shot, they were right, you know. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to take the fight. Then I trained hard for this fight. I stayed full 4 months for this fight. Let's take a look in the second round. You became the first man since 1994 and Roy Jones Jr. to knock Toney down. Tell us what happened here in the second round, Samuel. I know I have a good jab, you know, my jab is just like a right hand, but, you know, he's a very slick, you know, he's a very slick guy. He trained hard, you know, he's slick, you know. I mean, if I hit him with a good right hand or a good left hook, he would not be sorry because he's slick, he rolls a lot, you know. But I do what I can, I thank God. Samuel, you've improved quite a bit. Why have you become so much more accurate? Is it simply a matter of experience? I have a strong team with Duncan behind me. You know, I have a strong team. All my trainers, nobody sleep. I didn't go for Christmas. I leave my family back home, you know. I didn't go for this Christmas. I didn't go for anything. I was here, train hard. I run in the beach, you know. I run hard, you know. I never run in my life, but I run. Samuel, stay with us. Let's bring in James Toney. James, if we can get you to come on in, and then we'll talk to Samuel, stay with us. We want to get your future plans. James, this evening, Samuel Toney, do you disagree with this decision?
Once again, I do. You know, like I said, I was aggressive. He hit me a couple good shots, but that's it. When he hit me when I went down, he knocked me down, I slipped. But, you know, I got up, no problem.
So you feel as though you won this fight?
I feel I won the fight, but you know, it's all good. We come back, I'll do the fight another day. I'm still the best fighter in the world. Still the best heavyweight, no doubt, on top. And this guy's supposed to be a hell of a knife. This guy's supposed to be a hell of a puncher and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He would be knocking me out, but he could knock me out. I'm a middleweight, remember? I came from 160. But this guy's game.
Let's take a look at the knockdown. It was the first time you'd been knocked down since 1994. And Roy Jones Jr. It looked like a jab.
Yeah, but I was off balance. Look at my face. We play the game. My feet was off balance. He knocked me down. Nobody on this planet can drop James Toney. Nobody.
James, let's go back here a second. I want to ask you to follow up. What exactly is it that you thought you did successfully tonight that you feel you won the fight?
I was landing the more effective shots. I was being aggressive. I was sticking and moving. He made a couple good shots. The shots, as you know, the shots on the back of the head and behind the back. That's all they can do. But you know what? If they want to take this victory and if they did something, they ain't did shit because they can knock me out. They talk about they come in and knock James. Nobody knocks James Toney out. I don't care who he is. Nobody can knock me out. No one. He tried his best.
James, what will be your plans now?
I'm still gonna fight. You know, I'm knocking out all bums. Hey, you know what? We fight whatever Dan want to do. Hold on, Dan, the promoter. Whatever Dan gonna do, we're gonna do next. We're gonna do it. I don't care. I fight anybody anywhere. I don't turn down nothing.
Do you respect Samuel Peter now?
I don't respect no one. I don't respect no one. That's the bottom line. I don't care.
James, thank you for your time.
Nobody's ever done what I've done. I campaigned at 154 all the way heavyweight and beat the best fighters out there. I beat everybody. I've won titles in every division.
James, thank you. Let's bring back Don and Sam Peter. Sam, you now have the championship fight against Maskeyev. Is that what your plans are?
He's next. Maskeyev is next.
Do you feel as though you're the future now of the heavyweight division?
You know, I mean, I'm not the best yet, but I'm going to take the world title. Not the best? I'm not the best yet, but I'm going to take the world title. When I take the world title, that's when I feel like a heavyweight champion of the world.
That's a refreshing comment. Who do you feel is the best?
Well, I mean, the champions, they have the belt, you know. I can't take anything from the champions, you know. They hold the belt. They're the best right now. But I do my best. I'm going up. When I took the championship, I will be the best.
Congratulations to you, Samuel.
Thank you.
Very nice. Let's bring Don King in. Don, terrific promotion here tonight. What are your plans now? Will you make that fight? It is the mandatory Mescayev. Is that what we'll see next?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank all the people that came out here. I want to thank Ken Hirschman for having the vision and the foresight to do this. I want to thank Matt Blank for supporting Ken Hirschman in his decision to do this, and it surely made Showtime #1 because it's the best fight card we've seen in a long, long time. And I think it's going to be a fight card that everyone will remember because he's after Oleg Maskayev, and we will get Oleg Maskayev. And when you ask me that, it's done. We're going to fight him. You know what I mean? But no, by any means necessary, and he will become the champion of the world, and then we'll try to eliminate. I mean, unify. You know what I mean? So it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it with great excitement.
Don, and we have a fight here, Super Bowl weekend, February the 3rd, the night before the Super Bowl in the Miami Arena with you.
Yes, Thomas Adamek, you know what I mean? The great light heavyweight champion will take on Chad Dawson, a fiery, young, tough guy with great courage, valor, and skill. So Gary Shaw and myself will be promoting, and it's going to be at the Miami Arena right here, Super Bowl weekend, and along with Julio Diaz against Jesus Chavez. And it's going to be a great, great card of boxing. Again, Showtime will go to the forefront with an unimaginable victory of winning. You know, getting the people there. The place was sold out. Everybody was complaining and saying it wasn't going to happen. The crowd would see all the stars, the Jersey Boys, Frankie Valli, the hottest show on Broadway. He came in. Tony Lobianco, he came in. All of them were rolling in here with this, coming down with the elites in society. And all the news media of the state of Florida was here. So I got to tell you, Jim, I'm just elated. I feel very, very good. Thank you again, Matt Blank. Thank you again, Ken Hirschman. We're on our way to a stellar year.
We will see you Super Bowl weekend, and we want to remind everybody you can watch the Super Bowl on CBS TV or listen on Westwood One. It'll be a big weekend back down here in Miami. Let's go back to you, Steve.
Oh, back to anybody.
All right, Jim, Sam Peter, refreshingly humble and modest. Tonight's winner has earned the right to fight Oleg Maskayev for the WBC heavyweight title. And Maskayev certainly seems like the most vulnerable of all the heavyweight champions in the world. He's 37, has 5 knockout losses on his record. As we take a look at the scoring for Peter and Tony, too, the judges' scoring.
That is, of course, from the first fight. We saw how they scored it. The margin for Peter, Tony getting a 115-112 margin. The 116-111, we thought in that fight a little bit wide. In this fight, of course, he got a wide margin, and no one would dare question the 118-1 scores or 119-08 scored. I had it 118-110 for this fight.
And when James Toney looks at the tape of this fight, I think he'll be singing a different tune. You know, unless he's in complete denial, it really wasn't even close.
I mean, James Toney really understands boxing, and you know, he didn't do enough in this fight. Sam Peter came of age because he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He established the jab early. He threw a lot more punches, and that was the key, in my opinion, to this. James Toney has a conundrum. He cannot hurt big heavyweights, and he also can't be in enough shape to throw a lot of punches over 12 rounds. That's tough for him.
It really was a coming-out party for Sam Peter. Where does a 38-year-old boxing legend go from here?
Well, you know, as we look at the press row scoring and see that they clearly had it very large for Sam Peter, who is basking in this special moment for him.
Talking to press row, right?
Yeah, there we go. He decided to have his go with them. You know, the fact of the matter is for James Toney at 38, it's difficult. I mean, this is going to sound like an absurd statement. What he ought to be doing is fighting as a cruiserweight. Now, he's 234 pounds. Guess what? He's about 25 pounds bigger than he should be. He just is, and I love James Toney. I have total admiration for his toughness, for his skill level. He can't fight consistently at this age, at this level.
And now Peter is supposed to go up against a guy who's 37 next, and Oleg Maskayev, and they're lining up by the droves to get to this guy because of his history. He's been knocked out 5 times. an early handicap of Peter versus Moskaev?
The way Sam Peter fought this evening, it puts him in a very good position against Oleg Moskaev, because I don't know if this man can be hurt by anybody who isn't a monstrous puncher, and I'm not sure Moskaev punches hard enough to hurt him. The only time he's been hurt is once against Klitschko. Sam Peter has shown that he's on the cusp of being an extraordinary fighter.
So a very exciting start to 2007 for Showtime Championship Boxing, as Sam Peter prevails in convincing fashion, a lopsided decision over 38-year-old future Hall of Famer James Toney. As we take a look at tonight's results here at